Okay, there is a slight change in your course calendar. The idea was to give you an assignment on the second lecture. Instead of that, you are going to get the assignment on March 2nd. Okay.
So
discuss about somebody's asking me a question. Okay, if we discuss how to write the assignment today, in fact, we can further change the date. Okay, I think we can have it posted today. Today is a Tuesday, so I think there's an error in here. It should be on a Tuesday on 23rd of February, which is today, and that means this day, the 2nd of March, should be your assignment due date. All right. So we will change this calendar again because it's the beginning of the semester and we can expect to have few updates. So I'll post you update to this, and you're going to get your assignment posted today. Today is the 23rd. Okay. All right. So remember what we discussed in the last lecture. We are trying to recap from the last lecture. We talked about a bit of rational decision making, how decisions are made. We talked about what is the process, 6 steps, and also you had an example of a group of you are traveling to some destination, and what are the options you have. We had seen this discussion. We talked about decision-making process, and related to that, there was a posting on an attachment given to your Google Classroom lecture note. It's about decision-making, and it's kind of an easy reading article from Slow on Management Review. We should go through this and see how articles are written and how it's like a story kind of thing. It's nice, right? We read that. So we talked about how economic decisions are made. Any economic decision that involves money has to have these criteria: reduce the cost, and then try to maximize the benefit, and should always have a budget with some empirical margins. Then we asked about what's empirical. Would you like to give an example of an empirical margins? If you know, what is empirical? What is this? What is empirical margin? Yeah, Volba?
finite, sir.
I have to say that again.
Finite.
Finite. Maybe yes, everything is finite. Everything is finite, but empirical does not necessarily mean something which is finite. Empirical means which is derived. Empirical means this is based on experience. Based on experience. Okay. For example, if you are in the habit of buying breads every morning, you know the price of a pound of or like a big bag of bread is 65 taka, right? This is an empirical data. If you have the habit of traveling from Dhaka to Chittagong, you know what is the typical price of a bus fare, right? How long does it take? You know these information. These are empirical information. These are not based on any calculation, but rather these are based on experience, right? So quite often you start with a budget. If you're making a bridge, okay, let's say you're making a bridge on the Podda River, okay, you're trying to draw the bridge. This is the bridge, okay, on a river. So, so if you have built a bridge, for example, the Chinese contractor working on the Podda Bridge now, they have built numerous bridges before in China, the same kind of murky water, because China, the Yangtze River is very, how would I put it? It's it has a very slow. It's wide and it has the history of flooding the area. The current is not very steep. The river bed is very muddy and soft, right? So the Chinese people, they have this habit. They know what it takes to build a bridge on a river like this. Okay. When they start building the bridge, they have this empirical information how much it takes to build a bridge like that. All right. So when they make a start calculation, they know how to make a budget. All right. So every economic decision has to have these three things: cost, target of reducing cost. It has to have the drive towards maximizing benefit, and it must have a budget. Right? So, in the last example, in the last class, you had a discussion about this kind of things. For example, you were giving a lakh, 1 lakh taka and 1.5 lakh taka to support your semester, and you have a few needs, and you need to have a budget. Within this budget, you will be allocating monies to this one and that one, and also your decision will depend on your criteria which you set, your goal which you set. All right. We will not go through this kind of exercise in the class today. We are trying to finish it off and move on to the next lecture note 3. Now, when you are making economic decision, you just don't base your decision based on the current facts. It's important to be able to predict the future. Okay. For example, if you are, let's say, harvesting rice, okay, you harvest rice and you convert the rice, paddy into rice. You have composting plant in the village areas. They call it chatal, right? Anybody has seen that? Any one of
Yes,
you?
sir.
Why only one of you have seen? I'm trying to show you an image of that kind of rice processing area. Have you seen one of these in the villages? This is a famous TV personality, Shaikh Shiraz. He is in one of the chapels. and they have a large field which is paved, and on it they dry the paddy, okay, and they extract the rice. All right. Now imagine that you are going to set up one at your village. Okay, you are setting one of them up, setting up a chapel. Okay. Now you know the cost of energy is going high. All right. If you were depending on some kind of fossil fuel, okay, maybe earlier you used to you used to burn the husk. You know what is husk?
Yes, sir.
Laz, are you there? You are,
Yes, sir.
oh, good. Husk কি জিনিস জানো?
স্যার ধানের চিটা বলে সম্ভবত বাংলা।
ধানের চিটা। They used to burn this husk earlier in the chatal, so that they can boil this rice and dry this paddy up and extract the rice out of the paddy sheaves. Okay, so that's what they used to do. But you know that this is going to increase, and also you might, let's say, you are considering the environmental factors. Okay. So you have to consider this. You are seeing the future. You're trying to predict the future. Why? Because you are setting up a chatal and it has to last for many, many years to come. So you are trying to oversee the future. How much business will you make? And what kind of setup do you need? Besides that, you know that the cost of energy is going to increase, and you are considering the environmental factors, and you no longer want to use the husk for burning. You want to convert the husk into some kind of bio fuel. Okay, so this is what you would be deciding, and also you might be considering solar heating. Okay, so you understand that in the future the cost of energy will be higher and the environmental concerns will be also higher. So now today when you are setting up a chatal, you are considering this biofuel and solar heating, because both of these have good prospect in Bangladesh. Okay. So what you just did, you looked into the future and you wanted to adjust your decisions, your plans, your plan of setting up this business with these new added decisions, right? How you did that? You did that by trying to predict the future. In future, what will happen, right? So every time, every time you take economic decisions, you try to take up a project which will have, economic impact, business impact. Always try to predict the future. Okay. Regarding predicting the future, there is one article on predicting your future of your business from Harvard Business Review. This is up there in an attachment for you to read. And there's another one, which is also a very good one. And today you will be assigned with posted with an assignment. And you can go through this one to try to predict the future. Okay. So we'll now talk about role of engineers in this lecture, because over the time you will see how the role of engineer unfolds. You'll get to learn about that. For now, we'll skip this part, but let's watch a video, if not full of it, only part of it, because that is related to predicting the future. Okay. And this video will be posted to you in your Google Classroom, and that will be a source of your information for your upcoming assignment. Okay, let's see what it says. Can you follow?
Sir, can't hear anything.
You can't hear? How about now?
No, sir, not really.
Okay, not really. Okay, all right. So let me turn off the screen sharing and switch to the tab sharing.
I want to take you into the past. This is New York City, 1900, Easter Parade. We used horses.
Can you follow now?
Yes, sir.
All of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Very good, very good, very good. Just watch it for a little while. We're not going to watch the whole of it, but this will be linked to you and will constitute a source. Will provide source of information to your writing article. You will get an assignment today.
Of years as our main means of transportation, we human beings. There is one car in this picture. Can anyone see the one car in that picture? Okay, I don't have all night there. There is one car in New York City, Easter Parade, 1900. 13 years later, can anyone see the horse in that picture? 13 years later, New York City went from all horse, -1, to all cars. That horse doesn't even look like a horse. This is called a disruption, a technology disruption, and that's my work. Let me take you to 1985 when, yeah, exactly. When the then largest telecom company on earth, monopoly, AT&T, had this thing called the cell phone, and they hired McKinsey and Company to essentially do a forecast. What's going to be the adoption of this thing called the cell phone in 15 years? So by the year 2000, how many subscribers will we have in the United States? So McKinsey went off and did whatever it is that they do and charged $5 million for. And they came back and this was the answer, 900,000 by the year 2000. The actual number was 109 million. That's not a small mistake. That's a factor of 120 times, right? So when you...
Okay, class.
Yes, sir.
You have seen what this guy is doing, okay? He's trying to look into the history and see what went wrong, and he's learning from that and trying to project the future by using the kind of data. Towards the entire of this video document, it's a lecture presentation, you'll get to see this, okay? And he is putting up effort to predict what's going to appear in the next 5 to 10 years with respect to energy and transportation. He is saying that there is going to be a clean disruption. Okay, so you'll learn how to predict. Watch this video, and this will be an attachment to your assignment. So watch it on your own, take notes, try to understand, and you might find similar other video lectures by this guy and some other people also. So there will be ample learning materials for you. If you don't understand any key points, key terms, all right? If you don't understand any key points, then you put that in a comment or question, ask question on Google Classroom, okay? And if any one of you know the answer, feel free to give answer. And also, you can expect that I will inject an answer, a bit of guideline to you, okay? So I'm going to go back to the previous mode of presentation. Okay, we're back now. So that was lecture note 2. Today we'll be diving into, because lecture note 2 will be giving you materials and guideline. Okay, all right. We missed one more point. We have to discuss on how to handle the assignments, right? How you're going to cite 5 citations. Remember the guideline for assignments. And today is assignment. Remember the guideline for assignment. It will be 750 words limit. Okay? And remember, in addition to the other, grading rubrics which you have seen in the first lecture, apart from that, it's important to stress this guideline. Okay, you will be writing within 750 words, and you will need to cite 5 independent citation. Independent and verifiable citation, and make sure these citations follow a standard. Follow a standard, okay? For example, it has to follow IEEE format or MLA format or APA format. Okay? Follow either one of these. There are many other formats you can follow, but I recommend following any one of these, because these are more readily available at Microsoft Word. So, and also these are, these are hard requirements, okay? And with respect to the soft requirement part, make sure you don't make any spelling mistake. Run a spell check. Okay? If you are using Microsoft Word, run a spell check. run a readability check and score above 30. Okay, we'll talk about what this is. Okay, we'll talk about this, don't worry. And we'll talk about how to run the citation formatting easily on Microsoft Word. And the other point is, make sure you have an originality check. This is the tool by Google. Okay, Google tool. And check the originality of your work. If you find there is any deviation from it, fix it before submission. Okay? So these are the few things that we will demonstrate. Let's open up MS Word. I'll try to show you one example. Okay, this is not it. I wanted to show you something else, and something else popped up. I'm trying to find out, give you one example. Okay, trying to give you an example so that you can, it will be helpful for you. I'm trying to locate that. It's not here. Okay, I got it. So let me try to see if I can open this on MS Word. Okay. Basically, this is just a one-page assignment, but the page is not the limit. You'll be limiting yourself within the number of word counts. But I had to open this in MS Word. How come it open over here? Let me try it. Try to open it on MS Word. Or I'll show you. Okay, maybe this one would be a good example. Okay. One of your classmates, earlier predecessors, wrote this assignment. This is about technology life cycle of an obsolete technology. All right. So look at how she came up with this citation and bibliography. Okay. If you look into this, okay, one of the ways how to do the citation. So if you click on this, you go to MS Word, and let's say you want to insert a citation at any place. You click on it, and you go to the insert citation, and you click your source. Information is added, okay? And you'll find that the source is already available here. But if you did not have it, what could you do? Let's delete it. Okay, let us delete the whole of it. And now that you have the sources here, can you follow? Follow what
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Acha. One of the ways of doing it, you can go to the insert, open up your Word doc, go to the references, click on insert citation, and you can add new sources. Okay? Are you seeing it clearly?
Yes, sir.
No? Okay. So you can go to, usually when you open up MS Word, you go there, right? And then you go to the reference, and then you click on insert citation. So right now you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sources already in the list, but nevertheless you can add new sources. You're going to see how to add new sources. Okay, when you click on that, this window appears. Okay, and you can insert new sources. For example, if it's a book, it will have a different format. You need this information. If you're citing from your source is a journal article, so it will have this information. You have to write the name of the author, the title of this article, journal name, year and pages, number of this, so on and so forth. You have to add this. If it's a report, then you have to have this kind of credentials. But quite often, we're showing an example of the website. You add a source. For example, if you write your name of the author. Okay, Graham or James. This is one name, and then you have Jackie Chen. They just put up this example name. You give the names using semicolon as separation of the authors, individual authors, and you start with the last name and first name. That's how you populate this. And then you type in the web page name, for example, the article title of the page. Okay, and so on. Let me try, instead of populating here, let me try to show you how you can manage one. That's better, and that way, see, there are a few sources already written here. Let's try to copy one of them. New sources. These are the old sources, and these are the sources in the current list. And we are just adding another one. Okay. And let's say that we want to edit this. Okay. So when you go to the edit box, you see this kind of name. You have to type in the web page name and maybe the site name, and also the year when it was accessed. Okay, all this information you put in, and then you save it. Once you have saved it, these citation lists will be appearing into your insert citation drop-down box. Remember, earlier we didn't have Bangladesh Bank, we added Bangladesh Bank. Also, we didn't have XYZ, Mr. XYZ at Al Jazeera. We added that. Now, if you want to add a citation, let's say you want to add a citation from Al Jazeera, let's say. So immediately the XYZ Al Jazeera appears over there. And let's try to zoom out and see that you didn't have any bibliography. You had a bibliography, but now you don't. So how can you easily add a bibliography? You go and click there. Can you all follow? Is that clear? Go and click on bibliography and select any format. Okay? And you see that the bibliography has been added. Immediately it collects all the citation information which you have inserted in many places, and it populates them all. All right? And now there's one little trick. If you want to change the styling, let's say right now it's using APA 6th edition. Okay? If you select something else, let's say you're selecting IEEE 2006, what happens? Immediately, this is a very nice tool in MS Word. Immediately it changes the citation style and make sure it conforms to the IEEE standard. You see the numbering, the marker has already been changed. You can select MLA 7th edition. Immediately it changes the document and also simultaneously the bibliography. Okay? So do not have any hesitation in using this wonderful tool to cite your sources in the article which you write. So is that clear? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
তাহলে একটা কাজ, next জিনিস, next point was so this has been covered. This is covered. Now run a spell check and readability check. Quite often a lot of the people do run spell check, and many of you might not have known how to run a readability check. Okay? How do you do that? You go to the file menu. Okay, go to the file and then options. Then go to the proofing. And the proofing, in the section of when correcting spelling and grammar in Word, show readability statistics. Usually this one is unchecked. Okay? So check this one. All right, and say okay. And after that, when you run the readability statistics, when you run the reference checking, for example, when you run the review, I run the spell check. It does the spell check, and at the same time, it shows the readability statistics. Okay? And when you see this readability statistics, it counts for the passive sentences. It calculated that the passive sentence is 19%, flesh reading ease is 70, and flesh Kincaid grade level is 7.4. In fact, both of these are very good. Okay? Reading ease means how easy your article to read, and grade level means at what grade student will find enough comfort to read your article. The lower the grade level, the better. The higher the reading ease, the better. Okay? Try to reduce the passive sentences because this tend to weaken your construction, your message. Convert them into active sentences and try to reduce it to 0. Okay? So these are the few tips for your assignment writing. If you do so, you can expect that your assignment quality will improve and you will be able to write with the standard. Any confusion? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. So what about the originality check? This one is going to be hard to show you, but after you see the assignment, if you have any confusion how to check the originality, this tool will appear with your assignment. Have you done this kind of check before? Anyone has any experience? Got cut out. All right. Anyone has any experience?
স্যার কথা ক্লিয়ারলি বোঝা যাচ্ছে না।
Let's see that. Do you think right now? Yes, I'm seeing your. Let me see. So can you follow now? Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
So I got cut out accidentally. So did you hear talking about originality check?
Yes, sir.
So
No, sir, actually, readability check and then.
you had gone through the readability check, right? So we talked about the originality check. When you open your assignment, once you get it, you should be able to see a tool from Google allowing you to check the originality of your content. Okay, if you feel problem like you cannot check it, then you have 1 week to ask me question. So then I should be able to give you a little bit of help with that. It should not be of too much of a trouble. You should be able to check the originality at the time of submission. Okay. So because the assignment is not posted yet, so this check is not, it's not possible to show how you check this. But you know, it's a Google tool, and in general, these tools are very simple. Okay, any question regarding assignment? So maybe we can add one more tip. Reduce passive sentences, and maybe improve readability. Readability score. Okay, I think this one is already there, but let's not use it. All right. So this is all about the assignments. If you don't have any question, let's move forward and talk about lecture note 3. Okay, everybody. We are very famous. Bangladesh is very famous across the world for what?
Garment.
Garments manufacturing.
The RMG sector.
So, have you seen any garment factory?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Personally visited there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All of you? সবাই গেছে একবার করে কেউ একজন?
No,
If you
sir.
haven't done it, make it a point to go there. This is one of the largest production sector that we have in our country. Okay. I'm trying to show you a picture of garment production in our country. All right. This is not a big picture, and look at this. Okay. Maybe thousands of workers, a lot of machineries, all engaged to produce the garments and the clothes that will be, that earn so much of revenue for our country in foreign currencies. So if you look at it, today's discussion, we are going to talk about production economics. We didn't want to visit there. Let's try to copy this image and see if we can paste it right there. Okay, we can paste it. All right. So the topic today, at this point of today's class, the lecture topic is production economics, right? And that's why we brought this, this garment industries discussion up in here. What do you see? What do you see in this picture? What it takes to produce garment to this scale? কি লাগে? Garments production করতে হলে কি প্রয়োজন হয়? Remember,
Labor.
yes,
Machinery.
Number one,
Human
machinery,
labor.
machines. Number two, labor, right? And what else? Let's say these are inputs. And you'll try to abstract away from the detail. Don't talk about you need management, you need this and that details, you need sewing machines, you need robots, you need food. I mean, let's not dive into the detail of it. Try to find out the ballpark figures. মোটা দাগে কি কি জিনিস পাওয়া যায়? কি দেখতে পাচ্ছ? Machines, right? Labor, and what else?
Clocks.
Fabrics.
Land.
Fabrics, clothes, lamps, a lot of things, right? So let us combine them all into materials, right? Raw materials. Can you do that?
Yes,
These are the
sir.
inputs, right? What is an output? What do you get out of this? Clothes. Simple, right? So what we essentially did is we tried to draw an overly simplified picture of a garment industry. Garment factory, or let's not say factory, this is production facility, garment production. Garment production, this is a black box, And by oversimplifying, we get clothes. And we have this input, right? We have raw materials. And you have labor. And you also have input as machines. Okay. So this is a super highly simplified view of a garment production. If you input labor, material, and machine, and you get clothes. Okay. So if you look at this from economic and engineering point of view, can we say this? Can we say this like? Can you say this? This is basically nothing but a function. That function has this labor, materials, and machines. And this is producing clothes. Can you say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So essentially, you have discovered production function. This is a production function. This is a production function. So the purpose of the production function is to tie up your inputs. These are the inputs with an output. And why do you need to do that? Why do you need to find out a function like this? Imagine that you are the owner. Imagine that you are the owner of this garment industry. So if you are the owner, what are your concerns? তোমার মাথা ব্যথার কারণ কি 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 জিনিস তোমার চাও প্রয়োজন? You want to know how to produce, right? How much to produce? How much to produce? And also you might want to know what to produce. Okay? When to produce? And all of these questions you continuously ask. Why do you ask this? Because you want to make sure you can reduce your cost. Okay? And you want to increase your profit. Okay? You করতে চাও. You want to reduce your cost and you want to increase your profit, and maybe you want to scale up your business. In fact, scaling up your business has to do with profit also. So let's add it separately, regardless. কোম্পানিকে আরো বড় করতে চাও, তাই না? These are the goals that you have. You want to maximize the benefit. In other words, you say that you want to maximize. ঠিক আছে? And এগুলো যদি করতে চাও, তাহলে তোমার জানা দরকার হচ্ছে কি জিনিসে খরচ হচ্ছে আর কোথায় তোমার লাভটা হবে, সেটার মধ্যে সম্পর্কটা কি? What is the relationship? Okay. Now let's try to simplify. Let's try to generalize this equation for any production facility. Let's say that this is machine. Let's say that the output the output is Q, okay, and the labor is L, and machines are nothing but some capital investment, right? You have to include machines. Let's write the machines separately. If you just have machines, that doesn't work. You need to have the housing, right? Can you follow? তোমরা follow করতে পারছো?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা, তোমার হাউজিং দরকার হয়, তোমার ধরো মেশিন ডেফিনেটলি দরকার হয়, and you have other facilities, for example, facility for example, in this garment, you might need to have some food processing, or in other words, to simplify it, you might require a kitchen. And this again is relatable to the housing, right? And if you further segregate the materials, you have clothes or textile, right? Fabric, let's not use clothes because we are using clothes as an output. Let's say fabric. Okay, and you might need electricity, and so on and so forth. There can be many things which you can combine together, all right? But there is difference between machines and materials. You buy one machine and you can continue to use the same machine for many years until it breaks down. You can buy a house and have your company production facility using that housing for many years until you want to go for expansion, right? So all of these are capital intensive. That means you have to invest some money. টাকা দিতে হয়, তাই না? টাকা দিয়ে তোমার মেশিন কিনতে হয়, টাকা দিয়ে তোমার হাউজিং কিনতে হয়. So these are relatable to capital. ঠিক আছে? And the raw materials, these are different, and let's call it materials. ঠিক আছে? And now if you want to simplify this, for capital in economics they use the term K, okay, and for materials let's use M. Now let's go back to this equation. What do you have? You have this M and you have this K. So if you want to simplify the equation, it turns out to be something like this: function of K L M. This is production function. Now you might be asking, sir, we don't know about F, right? You might be asking, what is F? F can be anything, right? If it's not clearly defined, if you don't have the relationship, F could be something like, it could be K plus L plus M. It could be K, L plus M. It could be K, L, K, M, anything. We don't know. Okay, so that is something dependent on the industry. If you are in the bakery, you will have a particular definition of function F. If you are in a garment industry, it will look different. If you are in steel production, it will look different. If you are producing mobile phone, it will definitely have a different function. Okay, and this is what you are going to discover. We are going to discover this so that we can answer, we can satisfy as an owner or a manager of the company, we can satisfy these questions and we can ensure that our goals are held up. Okay, our goals are intact. এই দুটো জিনিস ensure করার জন্য we will try to discover this production function. ঠিক আছে? So going back to your slide, constantly okay, so let's have a look at this. Do you see this picture? What does it look like?
Chart.
This is like এটা অনেকটা মনে করো একটা হিলের মতো না, পাহাড়ের মতো. It's like a hill. You're seeing the x-axis and y-axis, and these are the outputs as a result of this level of inputs, right? And now you'll try to understand why do you need to go through this production function, and how you can make more sense out of it and take your decision based on your industry, based on your company. Okay, to illustrate this, let us say that all of you, you're all running a bakery. Bakery means cake, biscuit, bread, এগুলো baking করা একটা company. All of us are the participants of the bakery. ঠিক আছে? So what do you need? In the bakery, let's assume that you have only two kinds of inputs. You have to have Q is the output, and it's a function of capital and labor. Let us simplify that. ঠিক আছে? And now, for the sake of simplicity, we are assuming that the labor contains the labor and also materials. তাহলে সুবিধাটা কি হবে? সুবিধাটা হচ্ছে you have two dimensions to worry about only. তা না হলে if you have to consider other dimension, for example, if you have to consider this materials separately, then you'd have to draw a three-dimensional graph, right? Okay, and your output will be a fourth dimension to show, and this is impossible for us to show this in two dimensions, so we are not using this m as a parameter. Okay, simplify করে ফেলছি so that you have better understanding. ঠিক আছে? এতটুকুর মধ্যে কারো কোশ্চেন আছে কিনা? কারো প্রশ্ন আছে কোনো? আচ্ছা, ধরো you're running a bakery. ঠিক আছে? You're running a bakery. বেকারিতে তোমার মানুষ লাগে, labor, and you need some capital to buy oven. বেকারিতে ওভেন লাগে না? কেক বানাতে ওভেন দরকার হয়। বাসা বাড়িতে কেক বানিয়েছে কেউ? বাসায় কেক বানানোর এক্সপেরিয়েন্স কার আছে? রেজ ইউর হ্যান্ড। কেক খাওয়ার এক্সপেরিয়েন্স সবারই আছে। তো এখন লেবার এন্ড ওভেন দুটোই দরকার হয়। মনে করো this graph represents this input x-axis is your labor, this is your labor, and this is your capital. ঠিক আছে? So you don't know what the production function is, what this f is. It can be arbitrary, but based on the input, these are the outputs. ধরো at some point you have only one man working and you have only one oven. Let's say that this is your output 5. Yeah, and observe that when you increase the number of people, মানুষ বাড়াচ্ছ, you keep on increasing the number of people along this direction. What happens? Your output keeps on increasing, তাই না? What is the maximum point of the output? 57, 56. And on the contrary, remember your goal is to maximize. Remember that your goal is to maximize. কোম্পানিকে আরো বড় করতে চাও, that is a rational standpoint. যে কারণে তুমি কোম্পানি বড় করতে চাচ্ছ, এবং যে কারণে you're trying to increase your output. So এখন যদি তুমি ক্যাপিটাল বাড়াও তাহলেও তোমার আউটপুট বাড়ে। Capital investment. You buy more ovens, you buy automatic ovens and keep only one people. মানুষ একজনকে রেখে যদি ওভেনের সংখ্যা, মেশিনের সংখ্যা বাড়াও তাহলে আউটপুটও বাড়ে। ঠিক আছে, the maximum হচ্ছে 62. But if you go increase your capital investment beyond that point, your output keeps on reducing. তাহলে the question is, if you want to climb high up top in the top of the hill, okay, তুমি যদি এখানে উঠতে চাও তাহলে তুমি তোমার কোম্পানিকে এক্সপ্যান্ড করবে কিভাবে? Is it making sense, the question? ফলো করতে পারছো? মনে করো তোমার কোম্পানিকে তুমি বাড়াতে চাও, বড় করতে চাও, তাহলে তুমি কি আগে ক্যাপিটাল বাড়াবা, আগে লেবার বাড়াবা, এরকম লেবার ইনক্রিজ করবা? When your labor becomes maximum, then you increase your capital like this, or you go to increase like this, the orange line. When it's maximum, you go to this direction and then you go to the top. So what do? You do this or do that. Either you take the red line or you take the orange line, or I don't know, if you want to take path like this, you increase some of them both, and eventually you reach the top, the blue line. Which one you take? কি মনে হয়?
The orange line.
The orange one?
Sir,
Why the
blue line,
orange
sir.
one? Why is
Most
it?
amount of production in the shortest amount of time. Like the growth is higher, like initially.
Okay, and that's a good thinking. And anybody else?
Blue line, sir.
Blue line. Why is the blue line?
The shortest path, sir. It's taking.
It's not necessarily the shortest. Well, that's a good point, good thinking. It's not necessarily the shortest. It doesn't, I mean, whether you take this direction or that direction, And either way, if you add up this line, this will be equal to either one of these lines geometrically. Now, we want to find out the answer to this question. Remember that we have another target. We just don't maximize things. We just don't maximize it. We have to reduce the cost. Remember that? And at the same time, if you reduce the cost, consequently, you should expect to increase the profit while you scale up. দুটোই করতে হবে, তাই না? তাহলে how will you expand? That is the question that we'll try to answer. So to answer that, it will be important. This is the question. Let's write the question. What is the best way to scale up? Scale up, keeping cost low and profit high. This is a question, and you want to find out the answer to this question at the end, by the end of this lecture note. Okay? So to understand this situation, let us try to dive into the detail of it. Okay? Let's copy this. We are clearing it up so that, let's say, okay, so now it is clear. Let's try to observe something. Let's say that you are increasing the labor. What happens? We are trying to learn the behavior. Okay, we are trying to understand the function better so that you can take the best approach to climb the top of this hill. Okay, let us increase the labor. Let's make it table. You have L there, and you have K. And let us assume that we are trying to keep the K equal to 1 at this point. K is equal to 1, so K will remain 1 all across, and you are increasing number of labor. মানুষ হায়ার করছো কোম্পানিতে, হ্যাঁ, একটা ওভেন আছে, একটা মেশিন, one input of machine, and you are continually increasing the labor. So if you constantly you are looking at the output Q. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. So what is the output? 5, right? Then 12, and then you have 35, 48, and 56, and then you have 55, and then it goes further down to 53. Okay, so when is the output maximum? When the labor is at 5. When you have 5 people working in your company, in your bakery, the output is maximum, right? So observe it very carefully. Let's try to find out what is the average output. Average output. Average output with respect to L, which is Q by L. Okay, what is average? It will be 5 it will be 6. It will be how much? 11.66. This is how much? 12. How much is this? 11.2. And 9.6.
16.
How about this one? It's
Sir,
7.57.
7.57. Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the average, right? And you can see how the average is changing. And also, let us try to find out what is the marginal input, marginal jump. For example, observe this. When you go from one people working, একজন লেবার থেকে দুইজন লেবার হলে সাথে সাথে স্টেপ জাম্প করে, what is the increment in the output? Immediately it jumps 7, right? If you go to 3, from 2 to 3, it jumps 23, right? The maximum jump is right there. But if you go from 3 to 4, it increases, but the jump is not as high as this one. Okay? And if you go from 5 to 6, it becomes negative. So let's have a look at it. And we call it marginal, delta Q. And let's call it marginal. Okay? Let's try to see the characteristics. What is the marginal input? Marginal change. This is 5. This one is 7. How are we finding this out? We are basically seeing the difference between the earlier output and the output at this current level. Okay? And what is the jump? This is 23. And how about now? How much? 5 plus 8, 13. How about now? 8. And then you have -1. Then you have -2. This is the marginal change. Okay? So what can you say? You can say that, interestingly, when is the maximum of average? At this point, right? This is the maximum. Maximum of average. And interestingly, this maximum is similar, close to this marginal. And you see that the maximum of marginal increment was appearing before the average product became maximum, average value. Okay? In the term of economics, they call it average product. Average product. Okay? And this one, the marginal value, they call it marginal product. All right? So now if you plot it, so the formula of average product and this is called AP. And remember, we're trying to find out the average product with respect to L, okay? And we kept the K constant at 1. So you say that average product of with respect to L, average product of labor is equal to output divided by labor, okay? And marginal product of they call it MP of L, is equal to, actually you are making differential of del Q by del L. Okay. Now if you plot it, if you plot both AP and MPL, with respect to L, and this is your output, and if you have this L axis right there, you'll find things will go like this. This is the total product. Okay, and if you plot it, you'd find that the average product goes out like this, AP of L, and from the same discussion, you have seen that the marginal product goes like that. This is MP. কেমন করে MP এরকম হলো? You'll always find that the marginal product of labor will intercept the average product when the average product is maximum. Okay? And this is evident from this table also. যখন average product maximum হয়ে যায় তখন marginal product is close to the average product. So this is the point it intercepts, and see beyond that the marginal product reduces and the average product also keeps on reducing, and the marginal product falls more than the average product. At some point it becomes negative, but the average product does not become negative. Okay, so this is a definition of two types of product, and this one is, we call it total product. This is actually total product. Total product, which is Q. Okay, so you will be learning a few more terms to talk about the production economics, the way which economists think, and we'll try to make more sense out of it. We're going to stop today right here, and we'll take your attendance. If you have any question, you can ask.